we should start. Yeah, we should start now. I have started the recording as well.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Govind sir, for this opportunity. And we are connecting from here to the one. Like I'm here from Surkhet. Good afternoon. I'm Yadu Gyawali, and I'm teaching in Midwestern University, Surkhet, that is newly established university in Karnali province.
Oh.
And I have been teaching here from the date of establishment. That was since 2069. I have been teaching here. And we are the MPhil scholar. We are studying together. Govinda sir, me, we are also friends. And then we have also connection with Nelta and other organizations also. We are working together one. And this COVID-19 especially developed this opportunity to be together, to be connected from here to there one. That's why I think we all are at home and we are all safe. And especially in today's class, we are talking about the critical discourse analysis and its application in the classroom. Like here, I am also doing the same course with my students for last some years. And I'm also thinking about some ideas that we talked. What are some of the similar factors in the syllabus of Tribhuvan University and our university? And we found some similarities there one.
Yeah.
And today we are exchanging our ideas. Similarly, I will also invite Govinda sir to share some ideas with my students here, because I'm also taking regular classes from online mode. And that's why this is the exchanging of ideas, and by the exchanging of ideas, we can bring new varieties in the classroom also, and it's a very good practice. So that's why I'm very much grateful with Govinda sir and with you people, because we are getting introduced each other, because this is one of the very nice situation that is created by this world. We have to take this opportunity as sense. Okay, so today I want to start our discussion from critical discourse analysis and its application. Before that, I want to share my screen, please.
Sure.
Yes. Are you finding my screen?
Yes,
Yeah.
we see both on desktop.
Yeah, it's both. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And here is also my introduction. Then where I'm affiliated also, and I'm also giving message for this COVID-19, stay home and stay safe. That's for you and for all of us. Okay. Anyway, so welcome to the class. So, and my respected colleague, Govinda sir, as well as dear students. Today we are talking about the application of critical discourse analysis, and this is my, you can explore me. There is my one web page also, yadugyawali.com.np. You can explore me there one, and you also get some ideas there one. And the next thing we are talking about today is, let's start from the critical discourse analysis. Then what is it? And we are talking about more. There we are talking about one critical, next discourse, next analysis. So the first thing, what is critical? What is discourse? What is analysis? I'm not going detailedly to the parts, because these things you did in your background information parts and in your previous classes also. That's why here I'm connecting these things as the background information. Just see, one of the part is here, I'm talking about the text. So, in the critical discourse analysis, the most very important thing is the text one. And this text can be realized as the discourse. Like, the text can be from any fields, that may be from the media, that may be from the politics, that may be from the educational institutions or educational backgrounds, that may be from the legal fields also. That's why the text or the discourse which we have, we put that thing under the basic component or under the basic consideration. Then after, whenever we are analyzing the text, we take the reference of our context or the society. I think you studied in the framework of Pierre Clough. There is text, pretext, context. These things you discussed there one. That's why the next very important thing is the context that we need to think whenever we are analyzing any terms of the discourse is one. Because whenever we analyze the text from textual meaning only, that could not be the critical discourse analysis. That will be only the discourse analysis. We are analyzing the discourse from one perspective at the time one. But whenever we connect this with the context, at the time it becomes more critical. Because being critical means, especially we know that, so what is being critical? Being critical means seeing from the several perspectives that you know. Yes, being critical is introducing the several perspectives, and these perspectives come from where? That we know. These perspectives come from the society. This perspective comes from the context. Yeah, yes, like you can connect with the philosophy. You can connect with the, just like we can see, there are the different dimensions of the knowledge, different dimensions of the text, different dimensions of the social framework also. You can connect that one. Like in the society, next, a very important thing you can find role and responsibilities. Just you can think of yourself as being a learner, as being a teacher, as being an administrator, what different types of roles and responsibilities do we have? So by this nature, we find out the text and we determine its value. Similarly, we also consider the ethical values. We have to be very much conscious towards the ethics. This focus towards the, because we have the two things, like in case of the ethics, we have two things. One thing is the awareness, next thing is the consciousness. Like being aware means at the time we can be conscious or cannot be conscious. But being conscious means being aware and conscious both. That means we must be ethically conscious whenever we are analyzing any terms of the discourses one, any terms of the text or any terms of the social situations. Especially I define critical discourse is the discourse of the social situation, and situational discourse is one. That's why what's my ethic that we have to, or I need to consider for myself also. The next very important thing for the case of the analysis is the language.
Sir, actually, what does ethics refer to, sir?
Okay, thank you for your very nice question. Especially ethics refers our behaviors that we do whenever we are analyzing. Just for example, suppose you are taking one of the discourse from the media. Likewise, there might be one editorial from the media. Then you want to analyze that one. Before that, you have to take the permission from that newspaper or from that papers. You have to take the permission at the first one. Then after taking the permission, then you have to see how the text is designed. Then after, you need to be conscious towards the audience values. For one, just for example, the text is about like some of the religious values. Yes. The editorial is written for some of the religious values. At the time, if you analyze the text and that may hit to some of the religious group, at the time you have to consider to that religious group, and you have to make that is free, that could not affect to any religious groups there. And that's why the ethics refers our behavior that we conduct, especially understand this as the conducting behaviors. How do we conduct the behaviors? That's why we need to manage our behaviors ourselves, but that may be in both worlds, just like in the cyber world and in our physical world also. We have to maintain these two kinds of ethics there, especially maintaining our behavior with connection with the society. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next very important thing is the language. Yes, whenever we are analyzing the text, we need to consider the language. For example, like the text is in English, and you need to analyze that one, but all the readers are of the Nepali language. Then which language do you use at the time? At the time, we have to think critically. If the readers could not understand in English language, there is no meaning of analyzing the text into English. Then you can switch over to the language also. That's why language is also very important thing whenever you are analyzing any terms of the discourses. When you need to consider which language may be appropriate. The next thing is in the case of the language, the first thing is which language you are going to use when we're analyzing. Next thing, what kinds of language, that means word for whom you are going to analyze. The level of the audience we need to identify. Just for example, there might be, suppose there is one text for the primary level teachers, and if you use the language that may be fit to the tertiary level teacher, at that time that may not be entertained by the teachers one, and that is not applicable for them. And that's why you have to determine what language you are going to use and what level of language you are going to use. Next thing, there might be some academic, non-academic, formal, informal. These all situations of the language may be utilized there one, and you need to consider these things.
Language
Next thing is
according to context and level.
Yes, really, according to context and the level. Next thing is the power. Yes, really, we know what the power is, and this. Yes, what the power is, especially this power is connected with the roles and responsibilities. Yes, we can think of, because power means in case of the critical discourse analysis, power is connected with the role and responsibility that we have been doing on. Especially what's my power is, that means what is my role in the institution, what is my role in doing some works or some ideologies there. One at a time, the power is connected with the roles and the responsibilities. Especially in CDA, power means role and responsibility. And the next thing is the power is connected with our social framework or our social actions. There are two terms. I think you were introduced in the first chapter of that one. We have the different social actions and social activities and social doings and social behaviors, social recognition. And these terms, I think you were all familiar with these things: social recognition, social identification, social activities, social actions. These all things are integrated with the power activities one. Okay. So similarly, then we have the next very important thing is the ideology. Yes, so especially ideology is the thought. It's what you think. There is one discourse. Then what you think about the discourse? Just take one example. Likewise, the discourse might be like, I think you are in the semester system also. Yes, you are the students of the semester system. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, like suppose this is the discourse, like in your semester system, but I don't know what is the one. Here we are also applying the semester system. Here we have 40% internal marks and 60% external examination. Yes. So in that, what's your attitude on that? Suppose we want to survey on that activities. We want to analyze this thing. Like from your perspective, that might be one ways. In your another's perspective, that might be in other ways. Yes, this means what? How I perceive the concept and how I develop the thought. Especially, I try to define this ideology from my own perspective to my learners, to my students here. Thus, I am seeing ideology in two ways. So our one ideology is our original ideology, or that is known as our hidden ideology. That means that is with me and what I think myself. Next terms of ideology is influential ideology. This means I can be influenced by others. Just like I have one concept about the semester system. Oh, semesters in the semester system, I need to do this work, this work, this work, this work. Then I can get 40 marks. Like from the perspective of, like just take one example. Then 40 marks, that depends to the teacher. Do you accept this? But I don't accept. Yes, this 40 marks is in the pocket of the learners, not to the pocket of the teachers. Because if students do the activities, if students like fulfill their roles and responsibility, they can secure good marks. And if they don't do, there is no. Like for example, out of these 40 marks, there might be marks for attendance, marks for your like essay writings, marks for your presentations, marks for the seminars. These different categories will be there. If we participate in these activities, the marks is where then? And the marks is in our pocket or not. So that is in the pocket of the learners. That might be my ideology. Yes, I may be developing this ideology from my side, but a student might think that, oh, this 40 marks is in the pocket of the teachers. Because they are making, that will be given by the teacher, that they may be thinking this concept themselves on. That's why this ideology is the deterministic point of view of the learners one. So how we perceive the concept, how we develop our perception towards something. That's why whenever we are talking about the critical discourse analysis, please never forget these things. And whenever we are talking about critical discourse analysis, we should not forget the society, the first thing. Never forget the society. Never forget the language. Then never forget the power. And never forget the ideology. Yes, like these 4 terms, please never forget these 4 terms in terms of talking about the critical discourse analysis. Because critical discourse analysis always deal with the multiple perspectives or various perspectives towards one concept. There is one discourse. Within the discourse, we may have the different ideas, different views, or different realities. And that's why that is called what? This is the reality of what? Means reality of a person. Reality of personal thoughts. And it is always determined by the subjective thought of the knowledge. The knowledge is always determined by the subjective thoughts, not the objective thoughts. That's why society, language, power, and ideology. Never forget these 4 things whenever you are putting something in your mind while you are defining the critical discourse analysis. Okay, so then how can we analyze? These things need to be considered whenever you are analyzing things. Okay, then our topic is here for the discussion is here is application of CDA, that is in your that might be in your syllabus. So there might be different ways in the application of the CDA one. So in case of the application, just I provide you these 4 things there, and there might be other types of CDAs, other types of discourses also. But just see here, that is one: media discourse, political discourse, educational discourse, and legal discourse. Just I'm putting this thing for the example one. Then, how can we apply our knowledge to these things? So this is our concern for today. Yes, how can we apply our knowledge? Because application has the different meanings. One meaning might be, then how can we get the things? How can we apply in the classroom? How could we implement in the classroom? But the meaning is here, means how could we analyze these things? This is the application here. How could we analyze the media discourse? How could we analyze the political discourse? How could we analyze educational, legal, and other types of the discourses that are mentioned in your syllabus also? Just these 4 I'm taking as the examples only. So these might be the types of the discourses. By these types, we can define into different ways, and we can analyze into the different ways. So whenever you are analyzing the discourse, we have to follow in these orders. At the first, what we need to do means at the first we have to pick a discourse. Yes. So like for example, some of you can take media discourse, some of you can take political discourse, some of you can take legal, some educational, and other discourses. Like in my practice here, what I do for my students is that, especially if there are the 4 types of the discourses, I make the 4 groups. Then in the 4 groups, they will collect one types of discourses from these different sectors. Then after they analyze the concept and they do the presentation. And I think you are also doing the same. Because here we have to learn how to analyze these things critically, how to analyze these things from the different perspectives in our mind. So the first thing you have to do is you have to pick a discourse that might be any types of the discourse, or take the discourse of your interest. That might be media. Media means that might be discourse from print media or any electronic medias. Political discourse, for that you can take any speech of the political leaders, or you can take any policy documents. That is also the political discourse, because political is not only confined towards some of the political parties that is connected with the policy documents. So what are the different policy documents? There one, you can take any policy documents. Next thing is legal documents. So just like you can collect the Constitution of Nepal, rules and regulations, different acts, different rules, different procedures. This thing you can take and you can analyze. These may be the legal discourses. Next thing is the educational one. Just you can take any interview of the educational experts. You can talk about some of the papers that are developed for the educational, by the educational institutions, or like you can take some of the articles related with the educational values. This means you can take this discourse as the first one. This is your first work. Then next thing is go through the discourse. You need to read the discourse. At the time, you have to think here. I think you know about the Bloom's taxonomy, yes? Bloom's taxonomy. Here you have to follow the steps of the Bloom's taxonomy. Like in Bloom's taxonomy, what happens? At the first, we go towards the understanding of the text. We need to understand. We need to remember that it starts from the remembering. Yes, remembering to creating. It starts from like at the lower level, there will be remembering. Then after, we need to understand the text. After understanding, we can analyze the text. Yes, so after analyzing, what we can do, we can apply the text, then we can evaluate, then we can create. This is the phase of what Bloom's taxonomy. Like, yeah, you need to understand, you need to develop perspectives, you need to compare the situation, and you need to create a theme of your ideology. This means what? Just follow the Bloom's taxonomy. Take what text you take the text, then read this, understand this, then analyze in your own way, own perspectives, then where we can apply, think about this thing, then compare that text with the another related text, then after you can create your own ideology. This means what? In case of the analyzing of the discourses, there you are creating your own ideology, there one. This is the phase of the creating of the ideology. That's why never forget these steps. Develop understanding, develop perspectives, compare situations, and create the theme of your ideology. This is your, whenever you can create this theme, at the time you become the critical analyst.
Okay,
because
sir, we have, sorry, I'm sorry for interruption. We have 9 minutes
sir.
time left. So within 9 minutes,
sir.
we will conclude, okay?
Okay, sir. Okay, I think it will be concluded within 9 minutes. Okay, sir. Thank you. Next thing is, after knowing this thing, after going through the text, you have to follow any approaches of the critical discourse analysis. This means you have been studying the different approaches of critical discourse analysis, like there might be historical approach, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, feminist, like Marxism, and other different approaches are given there in your syllabus, in your course also. That's why which approach you are going to follow, determine that one. Yes, you need to determine the approach that you are following to analyze the text. Yes, are you getting my point or not?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Sir.
so you need to follow any approaches, and these approaches are known as the methodology of the analysis. Yes, these approaches are known as, because you can take the historical approach to analyze the text. You can take multidisciplinary approach. You can take feminist approach. You can just take one example. In class 12, we study one story, Hansel and Gretel. Could you remember?
Yes, sir, we can remember.
Yes, Hansel and Gretel, we studied one story, and there was the interpretation. There is Jack Jeeves' interpretation, there is Anders' interpretation. That is what means they are following some approaches of the analysis one, because that was the analysis. That's why which approach. And whenever you are following, there is no hard and fast rule of following which approach. You can follow the approach as per your thought development, because you are developing your ideology here one. The next thing is you need to develop your critical reflection with your experiences. This means then how do you find the text? Here you need to start analyzing your discourses one. So you have to develop your critical reflection on that one. Then at the end, you have to summarize the discourse. That means what you find or what you get whenever you are doing all types of the tasks here one, that you need to summarize one. So these are the steps of analyzing the discourses. For that one, you need to take one discourse and you need to develop your strategy. That one, and especially for that one, there is development of one format also. Then this might be one format, and this might be modified by you and by your instructor, the one. But that is developed by myself and what my students are doing in this format when they are analyzing that one. So in these cases, at first I asked my student to write the background of that one. In the background, they talk about the discourse. What is it? What is the context of that one? What is the theme and what is the scope? Means the coverage, themes, context, and discourse need to be written on the background part. Then second part is the theoretical basis. That means every idea is based on any theories. Like mostly, I think you discussed about different social theories in critical discourse analysis. Am I right? There you may be discussing about different social theories. There might be theories of Vygotsky, theory of Janta, and these different social theories might be talked there one. So which basis you are taking that one? Because especially critical discourse analysis focus towards the critical theories and the theories of the social constructivism or theories of the social realities one. So which theory you are taking for the analyzing of that part one, you have to put that one. Because this thing you develop in the section of developing your understanding and comparing values that we talked there one. And next thing is the approach that you are following that we talked there, which approach you follow. In number 3, you have to put that thing. Then number 4, that you have to put the critical reflection with your ideology. Under critical reflection, please never forget to put this SWOT analysis. I think you know about this SWOT. You have to put the strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats of the ideas. These ideas need to be well defined whenever you are defining these things. That's why it is called the SWOT: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats of that discourse. You need to code these ideas, you need to identify these ideas. Then similarly, next thing, the final thing is the conclusion, and this conclusion is the summarization of your all parts, and by these realities you can analyze the text. For this thing, you have to understand the text, you have to take the text, and you have to analyze in by using your own ideological perception, because critical discourse analysis especially deals with the values of different realities with the different situations. Is we know that critical discourse analysis is the situational approach of the language analysis. This is the situational approach. That's why it is also known as the postmodern approach, or an approach of different realities with the different thoughts, or reality of the mind, reality of the personal mind. This means where different people have the different concepts, different thoughts, different ideologies, different roles, different responsibilities by which we can product analysis. Okay, so if you have question, you can ask question. We have around 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That is remaining 3 minutes.
Really. Thank you so much, Yadu sir. You have really presented nicely for our students in the students of Janta Multiple Campus. We are lucky to have you with us today, and the things which I could not make them clear, I hope you made it clear. So please, from your side, students, Bandana, Santosh sir, can we speak a bit?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, if the business media, discourse, and newspaper press fall in media while we applying in the application part, if the press and newspaper fall in media, then this narrative recovery form, that our Puri sir has provided us, that are the in which in which term it falls under this in which applications we should include this narrative recovery and psychiatric disability, these topics, in which applications should we match? Or
so for this, just like I think your question is where to address these points, the one about this. These are the things of the approaches, yes, that you have to cover in the part of the approaches also. Is that your question?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, as in application,
Mm-hmm.
you inform us one thing that follow any approaches as methodology of the analysis, and a student consider approaches is synonymous to methodology.
Yes, really, this approach is used as the synonymous to the methodology that we use in the study, because there you have been studying the different approaches of the critical discourse analysis, because these approaches guide us and then how to make the analysis. That's why these approaches are the part of the methodological concerns.
Thank you so much. We are running out of time. Thank you for your queries, Bandana and Santosh. So if we are really interested, and we can talk later also, I will invite Yadu sir again, no problem. And we can also discuss. So please go through the text that I have provided to you and prepare. Coming Saturday at the same time, I'm inviting the another professor, let's say another guest lecturer from Kirtipur. Gokulji is coming.
Sir, we expect and hope to see Yadu sir again.
No problem.
Okay,
He will join. He will join.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Slide is very clear and nice.
Thank you so much, Yadu sir, for giving us time. And so we are running out of time. I hope we will be off very soon. And we will see you later.
Okay, sir. Okay. Bye, sir.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye. See you on Saturday at 3 again.
Okay, sir. Thank you.